So now we're up to Daf Peiches. Esmi Avi Tachtov. Now, it seems that they had a halacha Moshe Misine that there had to be 7 measurings of utensils for measuring liquids. Now that Rabbi Shimon does away with the hin, so what measure could he bring in place of the hin in order to be mashlim the number 7? Elamido yiser shalog umechza hoysasham. And as we saw in the Mishnah, there was a need for 3 lugim of shemen for the Minchas Kohen Gadol, the Minchas Chavitin, and we would measure out a logu mechza for the morning and a logu mechza for the afternoon. Amru lo. So both Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir gang up against Rabbi Shimon. Chatzi log hoisa sham. Why do you need a special measurement for a log and a mechza? Why not just use the mechza, the chatzi log, and multiply it by 3? Take consecutively a chatzi log, another chatzi log, and another chatzi log. Why did you need a special measuring utensil of a log and a half? So Reb Shimon responds, Omer lahem, afle divrechem, even according to you, I don't understand. Chatzi log lo yaseh. Why do you need a measuring of a chatzi log? Why not just use the revius log and multiply it over and over again until you get 1.5 login, right? Which would mean 6 times. Maybe efshal l'shaya b'revius. Elo zakal hoy b'migdash kli shemishamish mida zu eno mishamish mida cheres. Rather, you see that if there's a particular measure that you have to measure out, then there's got to be a particular vessel for that measuring. So therefore, you're not going to use the revius log measurement over and over again 6 times over in order to get a log v'umechza. And for the same token, I'm not going to use a chatzi log over and over again 3 times over. I'm going to get a special kli that has a log umechza. Rabbi Elazar of Shimon Omer, right, that there were markings in the hin. My Ika ben Rabbi Meir le Rabbi Yehuda. Oh, why is it that Rabbi Yehuda starts from the lower measurement and goes up to the higher? Rabbi Meir starts from the larger and goes down to the lower. On Rabbi Yochanan, Beirutze midos Ika beinayu. Right, the debate here between Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda regards that which goes above the rim of the vessel. Laman di Omar, according to Rabbi Yehuda, starts milamato lamali, goes from the smaller vessels, ascending order up to the larger vessels. Kasava beirutze amidos niskadshu. That even that which goes over the brim is also considered like it's inside the vessel and it's sanctified. Revius Yoiv leRachmana leMoshe. The Omer le Sha'er Dika'ili Lehu Berutzim. So let's try to understand the Shita Rabbi Yehuda. Hashem gave Moshe at Har Sinai a smaller vessel, which was a quarter of a log. Use that to achieve larger measures. So Moshe was then instructed to make a half a log measure, using 2 quarter log measures, then a log measure using 2 half a log measures, and so forth, until he got to the hin. Now, when one pours liquid from a small vessel into a larger vessel, let's say a quarter lug into a half a lug, then the over brim of the small vessel will transfer into the larger vessel. You follow? If you have a smaller vessel, then whatever's on top of the rim will go into the larger vessel. So the half lug vessel then had to be large enough to hold two quarter lug measures, including the overbrim. The overbrim of a measure, according to Rabbi Yehuda, has the same status as the liquid inside the measure, and therefore it's sanctified. According to Rabbi Meir, who starts from the larger one and goes down to the smaller one, Kasavar, he holds Beirute Middle Sonis Kachu. That which goes over the brim of the measure was not sanctified. Vehin Yoev le Rachmana le Moshe, v'omer le Sha'er b'hadika nafki berutzim. Evaluate all the other measures using this hin measure so that its over brim will fall and be excluded because it doesn't have sanctification. According to Rabbi Meir, God gave Moses a hin measure using this larger vessel, right? Because again, we're going according to Rabbi Meir that you went from the larger vessel to the smaller vessel. Moshe was to determine the measure of the half hin, the third of a hin. When one pours from a large vessel to a smaller one, like for example, a hin into a half a hin, the over brim of the larger vessel will fall to the ground and will not be transferred to the smaller vessel. Moshe then must have been instructed to assess the volume of other measures using the hin measurement without including its overbrim. It's clear that in Reb Meir's opinion, the overbrim is not part of the measure itself that's inside, and therefore wasn't subject to kiddush. Abai Omer, no. The Kuyalma, everybody agrees, Beirut Midis Iko Lememar, you could say Niskachu. Iko Memelo Niskachu. That's not relevant to the Machlokes between Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda. What is relevant? Chacha bimiluim, bimaleim kamiflike. How do we understand the word maleim? Right? The Torah says at the time of the Chanukas HaMishkan, it says Shneim Mileim Soles Blula V'Shem Mincha. So you need Maleim. Consecrated vessels designed for fluids must be filled at the time of measurement. The bowl and the basin mentioned in this verse are considered to have been designated for fluid since the flour they contain had already been mixed with oil. Oh, this is a gigantic machlokes. I don't think he talks about it here, but in any event. So Mandi Omar, now Abai explains the Shita Rabbi Meir Milamala from the larger vessel into the smaller vessel. Kasavar Rabbi is of the opinion that Malaim Shalo Yechaser V'Shalo Yosir. It's got to be exact. You might think that if it's overflows, then that certainly should be good. No, it's got to be exact. What does Malaya mean? It cannot be nor chaser nor yoser. No more, no less. To accomplish this, the hin measurement must be used as the basis for all measures. Reb Meir lists the hin measuring first. He holds that all consecrated vessels must be filled exactly, without any surplus or shortage. In his view, one can measure accurately only by first making an exact hin measurement, then using that measure to figure the volume of the smaller vessels. This method is used because of its accuracy. When the contents of a large vessel are poured into smaller vessels, the pouring is done gently. Oh, okay. And does not produce any foam that would distort the measure's volume. excuse me, according to Rabbi Yehuda, on the other hand, a vessel cannot be considered maleim if some of the liquid is missing. That's called ichaser, but it is acceptable if it's yoser, if it overfills the vessel, and any extra liquid will be regarded as part of the complete measure. One could thus use a small vessel to figure the size of all the other larger measurements, despite the fact that this method invariably generates some foam that will in turn increase the volume of the resultant measures. And therefore, Rabbi Yehuda lists the vessels in ascending order, indicate that one should use the quarter log vessel, meaning the small vessel, as a basis of measurement. According to Abai's explanation, Rabbi Meir holds that one may not overfill a measure vessel. Rabbi Yehuda holds that it's permissible to do so. It seems to be very directly related to the Gemara's first explanation of this machlokes. Okay, so now he has a whole discussion here from the Keren Orah, I think, to show how it's not exactly the same. Fine. Omar Ma, Rabbi Shimon Omer lo hayisham hin. Shapir kamaluhu Rabbi Shimon Rabbanan. Why would they need a hin? It has no relevance anymore. The Shemen HaMishka was done. Rabbanan, have a hin the ovid Moshe Shemen Mishcha, the Ksiv Shemen Zayis hin. What does this mean? Moshe had to make a special hin vessel in order to measure out that amount of oil for the Shemen HaMishcha. This hin measure, although never again needed, was still kept in the Migdash. Mar Sovar, Kevan de Ludoros, Lo Havitzorech, Lefi Shahu Diavde Veignas. It was put away. It was only needed for that one particular time. The other opinion of Rabbi Yehuda Reb Meir is Kevan de Hava Hava. Once it was a hin, there would always be that hin measure present in the Migdash, even though it would never be used. Omer Marves mi avitachtov. So Rav Shimon says, now I have to find something to substitute for the hin. Lo sagid l'mayel. Why do you have to find something else? And the answer is Kedomer Avina Gemiri. They had a halacha Moshe Misinai that shtei smichos betzibur. Okay, in a carbon tzibur, there are only two times where you need smicha, and that is the par helim dovishal tzibur and the soil azazel of Yom Kippur, and sheva midos shalachayu. Ochinami Gemira, they also had halacha Moshe. There has to be 7. That's the magic number. Rabbi Lazar Reb Tzadok Omer shnosos hayu bahin. Right, they put markings on the hin. What about the halach l'Moshe Sinai? For Lesle Sheva Midos, Lesle. He never had that halach l'Moshe Sinai. Ibaisema my Sheva Midos, Sheva Mididos. Right, so you could use the same measure for 7 different measurements by putting those incremental markings. And this leads us to the Mishnah on the bottom of Daf Peches. Revius ma hoisa mishameshes revius mayim limitzora. Okay, I think we'll pick this up. We'll try to pick this up tomorrow, which would be at 9:30. Again, we're slowly trying to catch up to what we missed over Yom Tov. It's quite challenging.